Nvidia might have the solution to all of our mining problems. Sony makes upgrading PS4 games to PS5 even more confusing than it already was, and now we have a look at Intel's Alchemist. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your host, Brett. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast. I really appreciate everybody who's been sharing what they've been having for breakfast, whether it's a pint of Guinness, steak and eggs, or just reheating some mom's spaghetti from last night. Thank you for letting me know everything that you're having for breakfast. And now let's talk about what miners have been having for breakfast, which is just graphics cards. And Nvidia's CMP 170HX is now appearing in the wild, and this is supposed to be one of Nvidia's flagship mining cards that's supposed to help offset the demand that regular GPUs have been having in the crypto market. And the thing that makes this one special is that it's based off of a broken A100 chip, so you're getting fully fledged Nvidia top tier goodness that can get you up to 164 mega hash per second on Ethereum while drawing roughly, I think it's something like 250 total watts on the card, and a lot of that is thanks to the fact that these cards are going to be running 8 gigabytes of HBM2E memory as opposed to GDDR6, which allows them to get roughly 1.5 terabytes of memory bandwidth, and then thus makes it really great for mining. Now, it's not 100% confirmed that this is the mining card. There's some weird validation stuff going on in the tech power up report that you can see right here, where they like overdubbed the name and wrote in 170HX, so it's slightly weird, but it only runs on PCI Express 1.0 by 4-lane, and it doesn't have any display out, so it's definitely at least a compute card, but the indication is that this is a mining card with no real release date from Nvidia being specified at this point, but it does seem that they're continuing to march forward on their plan to release mining cards, albeit really late. It really feels like Nvidia's response to the mining situation has been number one, to try to save face in front of gamers, but then two, act as if the company has vested financial interests in miners continuing to use their cards for mining purposes, whether they're mining cards or not. And this is one of the reasons why the LHR editions that Nvidia have rolled out is an absolute nonsense move, because it only blocks against the Ethereum algorithm, of which, number one, there's ways around it where you can get nearly 70-80% performance that you could get previously on a non-LHR card. But then on top of that, there's plenty of other cryptocurrency algorithms that everybody's mining on, so it's just, it really feels half-baked. It really feels like Nvidia's not trying to salvage the situation, and ultimately, at the end of the day, I think mining cards are there for a very limited use case and very limited miners who would more than readily pick up a gaming card, especially since it's going to have resale value once it's done being useful for mining and they move on to the next hotness. Let me know what you think of the mining card situation with Nvidia's top tier mining card. I want to hear from you down below in the comments, and I want you to hear about today's episode sponsor, my friends. All right, we talk a lot about you enjoying hot news with breakfast. Well, Four Sigmatic is definitely the coffee that I enjoy every single morning, and I think you should definitely try it out too. So thankful they sponsor us, because it's something that I've been buying for years at this point, and I absolutely love it. The thing that sets Four Sigmatic apart from other coffee brands is that they include various mushrooms into the coffee mix. You can't taste them, promise you that it doesn't taste like mushrooms in the slightest, but my favorite is their Lion's Mane blend, which I have every morning, and then every evening I'm also jumping into their cacao mix, which just helps me to settle and relax because it has reishi mushrooms, and then it gets me in a nice chill mood to, number one, record hot news, because I record these at night so that they're ready to go in the morning, and then also number two, I got those mushrooms in my system so my dreams are vivid. That's not true. Why am I making up talking points that they probably don't want me saying? Brett, stop it. Anyways, the talking point they want me to hit is that if you use our link in the video description, use coupon code UFDTech at checkout, you're gonna save 10% off. So try it out, my friends. It's my favorite coffee. It's my favorite beverage to have in the morning and in the evening. If you're enjoying hot news, you should enjoy it with a nice hot cup of Four Sigmatic. Big thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode of Hot News. Let's talk a little bit about more Nvidia news. Nvidia Broadcast has an update that's going to make it easier for you to scream or go at low volumes, because they've adjusted the way that it reacts to people who have high-pitched voices making excited vocal impressions, because previously it used to drown them out and be like, oh, your background noise. Like whenever Linus would yell, eat, terrible Linus impression. Nvidia Broadcast just deletes him. He's gone. Additionally, they're making it so now that Nvidia Broadcast should use about 40% less VRAM usage on your GPU to make it easier on your system. So good updates happening there. Now let's update you on what's going on in the Cryptostonks market. Our last update of the week, Bitcoin down 2.22%, which is a pretty nice number right there. 48,548 is what it's sitting at. Ethereum also down roughly 1% to sit at 37.41. Dogecoin also down roughly 5% to 28.9 cents. Not looking very good in the crypto market. The meme stonks, however, had an alright day. GameStop closing up at 213.52 to be at 0.26% up on the day, and then AMC up roughly 1.5% to close at 44.38. But while we're talking about crypto for a second, let's talk about the fact that Twitter will potentially allow you to pay some Twitter users who you follow, and you're like, hey, that's a good tweet. Let me give you some Bitcoin. It's the thing. They've had the tip jar for a little bit, but now there's new paperwork that's coming out indicating that Twitter's going to start using the Lightning Network, and that influencers on the app could potentially receive payments from their followers in the terms of Bitcoin. Also, there's plans for them to roll out the ability to let people hide their tweets or archive them in a way where it makes it so that they are not visible to other users after 30, 60, 90 days or a full year. I think this would be good as an automatic thing. Let's say I tweet something out and I just want it cleared out of the cache every 2 months. That's a brilliant idea. As far as like, why would you use this instead of just like deleting tweets? I'm not 100% sure, but Twitter's saying that this is in the concept phase right now, and they're going to be potentially looking at rolling this out sometime soon. And Windows 11's coming soon, my friends. October 5th is the release date, and Microsoft wants to let you know that Windows 11 has been built with compatibility in mind. But guess what? They're not talking about your hardware. No, screw your hardware. They're talking about software. It has compatibility for apps from 7, 8.1, 10, and they should all work on Windows 11. No, you want to know what they're doing now with uncompatible hardware? Well, they're sending you an email if you've been on the Insiders program and saying, hey, get your ass back to Windows 10. You're not welcome here, all right? This is in addition to the reports that came out that Microsoft says that they're not going to provide security updates to people who are unsupported hardware for Windows 11, so that kind of sucks. Compatibility, my friends, that's what Microsoft's all about here. And TeamGroup, not necessarily going to be compatible with all motherboards because they're going to be rolling out an NVMe SSD that has its own AIO cooler. Look at this nonsense. Look, it's an M.2 drive right there. That's absolutely crazy. Look at this giant block with the 120 mil fan. That's going to be absurd. They released the world's first water cooling SSD in 2019, and now it's going to be a looped liquid cooling system with greater cooling. Potentially, this could be because they're going to be rolling out a high-end PCI Express 4.0 drive that might be able to surpass like 7.5 gigabytes per second. That's at least the hope. We'll get more details as it happens, what the pricing's going to be like. Looking forward to seeing it, but slapping that AIO block, that's going to be a weird little doohickey into your motherboard. What's this hand motion? What am I doing? What's Tesla doing with full self-driving besides making empty promises? Well, they're at it again, with now Elon Musk tweeting that should probably the public button to allow people to have access to the full self-driving should come out on September 25th, with full self-driving beta 10 rolling out on midnight Friday next week, and then 2 weeks later, then you can have the public opt-in request button. If this is the case, this is going to be amazing for my charity live stream that's happening on October 6th through 8th. If this isn't the case, it's about what I'm planning for, because I don't trust Elon in the slightest. And you shouldn't trust billionaires, just in general, because Richard Branson, in his flight on Virgin Galactic, well, the FAA is now grounding their space plane and saying, hey, you veered off course when you shouldn't have, and probably wasn't as successful as a flight as Richard Branson and team made it seem like. Because there's a report that's coming out that the spaceship wasn't able to ascend vertically enough to be able to free glide back with enough momentum to get back to where they needed to, so they had to deviate from the air traffic control airspace that was delegated for the flight, and now the FAA is investigating them. Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic team saying, this is just a formality, we'll totally be able to continue forward, but it wasn't necessarily as good as they made it seem, which, you know, when we're talking about megapixels in a camera, more megapixels sounds good, but is it really? Well, sometimes, but also not all the time. But Samsung's building the world's highest resolution phone camera at 200 megapixels, which is just absurd. It's going to produce a 16,384 by 12,288 image, which is just, why? Why do you need this? I don't understand this. I can get it on like a medium format camera if you're trying to do that, but it's also going to come with technology that gives you pixel binning so that can merge pixels together to create really good low light performance, and it's going to be on the Chameleon cell technology that they're developing for it, but it's just a marketing ploy at this point if I had to guess. If it's anything of a good sensor, it's not because it has that 200 megapixel mark. It's going to be for multi-factors of reasons outside of that. And there's multi-factors of reasons that you now have to consider if you want to upgrade a PS4 game to a PS5, because Sony and Guerrilla Games want to make everything so gosh dang confusing, because they announced that Horizon Forbidden West, a long-awaited sequel of Horizon Zero Dawn, is now going to be available for pre-order. But you have to be careful, my friends, because if you pre-order the standard edition of Horizon Forbidden West while you're on a PS4, you will not be able to upgrade that to the PS5 version. That will only be allowed on the Digital Deluxe, Collectors, or Regala editions, and that if you want to switch over to the PS5 edition, if you happen to have a PS4 now, you want to play the game on launch when it comes out in February, and you haven't been able to get a PS5 for Christmas, 2 Christmases in a row, well, then you would actually have to pay more money in order to be able to have that upgrade path, either by spending $20 extra to get the Digital Deluxe, so instead of paying $70, you're now paying $90, or by having to purchase the game a second time for the PS5 version, which is just absolutely bonkers, the most bass-backwards way of doing it, and something that Microsoft is very clearly slapping Sony in the face with victory on. Microsoft's upgrade path for games on the Series X is so freaking clear. It's free and it works, all right? And if you don't have a Series X, well, guess what? We're also gonna give you a free upgrade path if you happen to have xCloud, because you can play the Series X hardware on your Xbox One X because you're using xCloud through it. Microsoft absolutely caring about compatibility on their console, but not on their hardware on Windows 11. It's a whole mess of confusion, my friends. Anyways, this is something that it's not necessarily clear whether or not it's Sony who's setting the pricing here, or if it's potentially Guerrilla Games who wants things priced like this. It does seem like there's a little animosity about the fact that Horizon Forbidden West is a PS4 like co-title. A lot of the speculation and kind of posturing before it was announced it was coming out for PS4 was that this was gonna be a PS5 title. So it's hard to say exactly what's going on here. Maybe Sony told Guerrilla Games, hey, you can release this as PS4, but you better get people to either spend more money for the PS5 version or buy it twice, all right? That's the compromise we're gonna make. You can release it, but we want our cash flow here. In case you can't tell, I'm a little salty about it, especially since there's other versions that Sony hasn't had this issue with, whether it's God of War or the original Horizon Zero Dawn. They haven't made you pay extra money for that, so it's kind of confusing. What do you think of this entire PS4 to PS5 upgrade situation? Has it been something that affected you, or do you just not care because you don't have a PS5? But in case you want to play some Final Fantasy games on PS Now, the most exclusive, prolific streaming service ever invented, Sony doesn't have a gun to my head. I don't know what you're talking about. Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8 remastered coming to PS Now within the next couple of months. Final Fantasy 7 being available on September 7th, 8 remastered coming out on October 5th, 9's coming out on November 2nd, and 10 and 10-2 on December 7th, and then Final Fantasy 12 coming out on January 4th. So a whole few months of just getting Final Fantasy titles on, again, the best streaming gaming cloud service thing that ever has existed. Anyway, Sony's gonna have a PS5 showcase upcoming on September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and they're gonna be going into the future of everything that they have for the PS5. It's gonna be roughly 40 minutes. We're likely going to see a lot of games being showcased, like the one with that astronaut who's on the moon with that little girl who can apparently breathe in space. I don't even remember what it's called. Then you got Project Athea, or now known as Forspoken. I'm hoping we'll see more from Final Fantasy 16. All of this would be great. We look forward to that in the next couple of weeks. YouTube now reporting that they have 50 million users on YouTube Premium and Music subscribers. This is 20 more million people than last year, where they only had 30 million. And I am gonna report to you that I am one of the new 20 million, because I just, once they started putting double ads, and my son who is watching YouTube all day, I was just like, nope, this is worth the money. I'm just done with these ads. So, you know, that's how I feel about it. And how I feel about Roblox getting voice chat is not good. They're apparently investigating rolling out voice chat to the child's game using spatial voice, which means that it's going to have proximity audio, so that as you get closer to a person, the audio has like the Doppler effect and sounds trickle in, and you can only hear people that are close to you as opposed to far away. I really don't like this as a parent who has children who plays Roblox, because one of the reasons I do let them play Roblox is because of the lesser exposure to people on the internet who could potentially say inappropriate things to them. Obviously, I can't mitigate mitigate that risk entirely, but Roblox, for the most part, has felt like a good place where I can let them explore their creativity and enjoy games in a multiplayer scenario while not necessarily having to, you know, try to figure out how I'm going to explain what certain words mean at an age that seems ill-appropriate to learn those phrases. Roblox also saying that they may want to take it slowly and want to learn as they go through it. They may go to an audience that's 13 plus and park there for a while we understand exactly if all the pieces are falling into place before deciding if we ever open it up to a younger audience. I think that's probably the appropriate strategy. I think it's easier to mitigate text chat. I'm wondering how they could potentially, in a child's game, make voice chat an appropriate environment for all of that to happen. But let's be honest, video games aren't appropriate for kids anyways. They're mushing the kids' brains. I'm letting my kids grow it up to be delinquents. Rapscallions! And now we have final pictures of Intel's Alchemist. Intel revealing this hot hardware, getting the first look at the character created to promote Intel's upcoming Arc series GPUs. Alchemist being drawn right there. Then you also have some concept art for the upcoming Battle Mage, Celestial, and Druid, who are all going to be part of the upcoming GPU series from Intel. In case you want to see them, we'll leave links in the video description for you to check that out. I'm going to check out of this episode of Hot News. Thank you for having breakfast with me all week. Really appreciate it. We're gonna have a special episode of Hot News tomorrow, This Week in News, where we're gonna recap everything that you possibly missed. So get subscribed to see you tomorrow for that. For breakfast, chip chip Cheerios.